Is this thing on? Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Stock. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Today I would like to talk about some of the action we saw in the market with the EV sector, really kicking it into high gear. Of course there's some drama, there's some different news that's flying around. We had Biden come along and pump it. I'll talk about all that. A lot of really cool things for a lot of these companies, and also I think a bigger message for the market going forward, especially with all the sell-offs that we've had since the EVs have started selling off back in February up until now. I think that we're getting to a really cool point. So I'm going to talk about that in this video. I really appreciate you guys sticking around. Let's get ready to rock. All right, welcome back. So in the market today, it was a decent day overall, at least as far as the growth stocks go and the tech stocks go. You know, the really sort of exciting ones that have been selling off recently, seeing some of the strength come back to those. You know, is it people, some of the outflow from crypto coming back over into the tech sector, into the growth stocks? You know, is that the reason why we see some of this push? I have said over my Patreon, the link for which is down in the description, that we could see some of the recovery plays, the bank plays, all the things that should do well as the economy reopens, all the inflation scare stocks that we have, the stocks like the banks that should do well with inflation. I said they're all getting pretty expensive, and all of the growth stocks, tech stocks, you know, those are actually getting a lot cheaper. There's a lot of risk that has come out of them, and at some point in time it has turned around. I don't know when it's going to happen. And what I've seen recently is that we started to sort of establish a bottom with a lot of those plays. And it doesn't mean that we're at the bottom for all of them. However, right now, with today being a strong day, we also had a strong day, a decent day yesterday. We had a strong day on Friday in the market. We could be establishing some sort of bottom for those plays where we might erase some of the gains that we have. We have the FOMC minutes tomorrow where they could come out, and if we don't hear what we expect to hear from them about the financial easing or the easy money for, for the foreseeable future up until 2022 or 2023, if we can believe what Jerome Powell's been saying about keeping easy monetary policies for right now and not really go to any sort of financial tightening any sooner than what they've anticipated, well, those are all good things for those growth stocks, for those tech stocks, and really signs that inflation is going to be transitory are things that we want to look for. Regardless, we see a little bit of strength come back to these stocks. It doesn't mean that we'll be shaken out again. What we're looking for is confirmation that it's going to stick around. So if we have another sell-off, what we want to see is that we don't go below the lows that we've currently established. And really what I would absolutely love to see is some of this volatility end and just for some slow, steady growth with these stocks rather than all of the volatility, all of the up and down that we have, the big sell-offs that we have. There's been a massive de-risking so far. And even though we might be a while away from that turnaround, we have signs that that turnaround's coming because other stocks, like I said, the ones that go along with inflation and recovery, those ones are ones that have gotten relatively expensive. There's not as much room for growth there as there are in some of these high growth plays, and I realize that the high growth plays are kind of troublesome under the economic conditions that we find ourselves. But still, I think that we're going to see some really good things coming out of some of our high conviction plays, and today I want to talk about those EVs. So President Biden came out in a factory in Dearborn, Michigan, the Ford factory in Dearborn, Michigan, and was talking about EVs and EV infrastructure and the Build in America movement that he's putting along and all the infrastructure package that comes along and clean energy. He was pumping all of those sorts of things. So that's really good to hear that he's still in that same path and talking about that sort of progress, and getting bipartisan support is going to be huge for all of that going forward rather than just trying to, have to fight through on the Democrat side and like try and convince people on the Republican side. I don't really do a lot with politics. I only really get in as far as it would deal with the stocks that we do, and after that I don't really get into the mess of it. Onto the EV stocks themselves. So Tesla had a report that there's currently 10,000 of their vehicles that are currently being held that can't be delivered, and apparently it's due to some sort of missing part. I don't believe that that missing part has been disclosed. Some people are speculating that it's related to the semiconductor shortage, We really won't know. The fears are there that they're going to miss their delivery targets for Q2, that it's going to put them behind for Q3. It's still anticipated that they get about 900,000 vehicles out by the end of 2021. So we'll see what that holdup is over time and see how that plays out. Hopefully we get some sort of clarification moving forward. The nice thing is that despite the fact that 10,000 vehicles are being held up for Tesla, ones that can't be delivered right now, supposedly due to a missing part, the Tesla stock still closed up for the day despite that information being out. So even if it is a semiconductor shortage, what we have is confirmation, at least in my opinion, that that shortage or that hit to the deliveries is anticipated, that it's expected, and that it's already priced into Tesla's stock price. Furthermore, with Tesla, right now we have reports that Michael Burry, who is famous for the Big Short, has taken a short position against Tesla. He purchased something like 8,000 contracts or something like that. So 800,000 shares short against Tesla. And, well, I guess other people are following suit. So that adds a lot of downward pressure to Tesla's stock. So when we look at the chart, and we'll get to that chart soon, what you'll see is that the candle has dropped below the 200-day moving exponential moving average, and so that can act as a line of resistance for us. We'll see how much more pressure Tesla can take before their stock price cracks. Now, mind you, just because I think that their stock price might crack in the short term, and that maybe even shorting it in the short term might be something that might make good investment sense from, like I said, a very myopic, meaning nearsighted or near-term, short time frame point of view. I'm still bullish on Tesla. I only have long positions in Tesla. I don't take short positions in general, and I certainly don't have any against Tesla. So we'll see what happens in the near term. Maybe we'll get a little bit more downward pressure. Maybe this thing will reverse and then it will end up, costing the shorts some money on this. We'll have to wait and see. I still believe in a long game for Tesla. I think over the long time frames, whatever shortages they're facing, those things are going to smooth out over time. There's talk about the competition that Tesla faces from some of the legacy autos for the whole Made in America movement. That will Tesla be able to keep its foothold despite the other car companies really pushing to get their EVs out? Tesla, being all EV, doesn't really have the ICE engine infrastructure weighing them down within their own company, whereas that's some weight that over time will be weaned off. At least it's believed that to be that way, that it won't be as many ICE vehicles, that you'll have more EVs from those legacy autos over time. And so we'll see what happens in that mix and how Tesla comes out. Honestly, Tesla already has such a lead already on those competitors. It's just a matter of keeping those leads. And remember that Tesla is still fairly young in its history and still has a long trajectory ahead of it, especially when it comes to the AI and the autonomous vehicles. I think that even though the other companies might be producing these vehicles, such as Ford and GM, it still doesn't mean that they'll be able to keep up with the autonomous driving game and the different levels of autonomous driving that Tesla has produced. I do have to move on from there, so let me get to the charts. Alright, so what we're looking at here is the daily chart for Tesla, and you can see this purple line down here at the bottom is the 200 period moving average, and we finally have broken below that right here that we had that red candle, but then we certainly went back up above it, and then we traded below it, and right now it's acting sort of as a resistance for us, and really today may have made it back up over that line if it wasn't for that delivery news that we had. So if we look for the headline here, right here, Tesla reported to have 10,000 cars on hold in Fremont due to a parts issue, and like I said, it's speculated that there's a part that they're short on, and that part that is believed to be short on, this isn't coming from Tesla. This is other speculation that I've heard, completely unofficial. People are guessing semiconductor because of the semiconductor shortage, and right now I haven't seen official word coming out to say exactly what happened with that part. I guess that we'll find out over time what part that is holding up those parts, but people are worried about further delay with their vehicles and their ability to get those vehicles out and how much of a delay it's going to cause. One thing I'm certain of is that it's going to be temporary, that even if it holds up the rest of Q2 and then that messes up Q3 because of all the different service that needs to happen, it's still going to be temporary for Tesla, and I think that it's something that'll smooth out over time, and it's just another thing for Tesla to overcome. Tesla is a company that trades at a very high multiple, and People believe that it's unsustainable. However, looking forward, it gets more and more reasonable as you start to look into the growth potential of Tesla, that people want to get in early because they believe that it's going to just be a monstrous company. And so the shorts, I mean, they've been there for the history of Tesla's explosion in its stock price. And, just one thing after another, just the shorts missing and losing money, losing money, losing money. And you can search up that history on people who have shorted Tesla and lost money on it. Just over the long term, Tesla just keeps on coming back as the champion, and I think that they have momentum moving forward. All right, I better move on from there. NIO, not totally an incredible day, but we can see this low that we have down here of about $30.71. Outdoing this previous low that we had all the way back on March the 5th, and this low was $31.91. So if anybody was able to get in near that price, I just think that that's an incredible bargain. I think that within 12 months' time, with good delivery news going into 2022, we could have really strong things coming out of NIO, that we could be hitting that $60 price target. Even if we look at the analyst estimates, this isn't just me talking. We have 22 analysts, and the average estimate is $53.94. So fine. Not 60. We'll just say 54 and go with the average. Still, that's a huge upside from where it's currently at. Another $20 from this $34 price tag where NIO closed at today. So NIO had a little bit of news themselves. One place that you can go to see that news is to NIO's Twitter page, and you can see that they have the ET7, the first one to roll off the line, and they even have it dated here on May 18th, 2021. And let's take a look at the vehicle. I mean, that's for a sedan, that thing's pretty sharp. I'm kind of a sports car guy myself, and I also like SUVs, but I would have absolutely no problem driving this sedan. I think it's very sharp. I would like to see some of the other color options and stuff that it has, but still, if I was strolling down the street in that, I certainly would be. I'd be proud to drive it. And I think that NIO, with its battery swapping technologies and its current economic moat that it has around it, I think that it's going to continue to show strength, and I think we're going to see a really nice upside from its current stock price of $34. Even if over the next 12 months we only hit that $54 mark, that's a significant upside. Although in my opinion, I think that we could even push higher beyond that current analyst average that we see on WEBULL. I wonder if they brought it to the United States and I bought one of these, if I would get that cool ET7 license plate on the front of it. That would be awesome. In the state that I live, we only need rear license plates, and we don't need them on the front. So I would totally have that as an accessory if that was something that they sold. All right, the next one is Fisker, and Fisker has talked about moving into the United States and selling, I believe, an SUV for less than the $30,000 mark, and I think that was by 2023. It was a few days ago when I reported on that news for Fisker. And also around that time, I swear I put an order in. I'm gonna have to go back and check my order history, and it must have slipped me or something, because I was like, man, I'm glad that I bought Fisker, because I even thought that I bought in down here when it was lower, and I thought that I got a nice low price, and then green candling today. I was like, all right, it's on its way up. And I took a look in my portfolio. I don't have any shares of Fisker. So the trade must have never executed. For whatever reason, I'm going to have to go back and check to see what happened. But this is one that slipped me by. However, if we get a nice red day tomorrow or something like that, a little bit of ease on the prices after today going up almost 9%, it's just, even though I think that I'm getting a bargain on this, I could probably nibble at it. I'd still rather buy, psychologically speaking, on a red day rather than on a green day. And one of the things that helped this, first of all, was the overall market bias that we had for the EVs. It was just a good day for them and a lot of other tech stocks and growth plays. Fisker was no exception in that, but then they also had other news that in the UK that they have a contract with Onto. And that partnership, there you go, it says here in the news, 700 EVs to the UK based Onto, and that's in 2023 is when we're looking at that. So even though they haven't built their vehicle yet, their EVs yet, they're getting orders for them, that 700 to the UK, and then also I believe that they're out of Norway, and then also they plan to build in the United States. I think that Fisker is going to have a nice bright future ahead of them. Let's take a look at the analyst estimates. Right now, sitting at 1220 from the current close, We're about 20% above the low analyst estimate, but we are well below the average, and this is out of 9 analysts. Just looking off of what we see here on WEBULL, the high one being 40, that's a very bullish case that we have there. I think that we're going to pick up speed going into 2022. I think the real time that we're going to catch momentum is when that production really hits full force into 2023, and we really see how Fisker does as a company. I think that there could be a lot of potential for Fisker going forward. All right, Lordstown Motors, boy oh boy, has this one just, man, it's gotten roasted over time. This one all the way down to $6, almost $6.70, just below that, $6.69. And today we had a nice volume spike along with the price spike. It looks like it had 20% upside. It had a 20% gain today in its stock price, and that was because there are June factory tours that were announced and also presentations and test drives to all take place in June. So next month, we could get some pretty good unveilings, and I think people are trying to get into this early. And if you take a look, this is the 50-period simple moving average that we have. So this is 50 days worth of time that we're looking at, or 50 days worth of averaging that we see with this blue line. And that green candle, the wick of it just came up and just almost tapped it for the day before it settled back down again. Really, we want to break up over that, but one thing that's really awesome is this purple line, which is the 200-period exponential moving average, so 200 days worth of average for the exponential average. We are curving back up towards that, and when we hit that, we can hit it as resistance, or we could possibly hit it and break through that resistance, and then it becomes support, and that would also be a good indication that we've entered more bullish territory for Lordstown Motors. So it's nice to see this sort of turning back around, and what we could see if we get good things coming out of Lordstown come June, we could see this thing really turn back around. As a matter of fact, we might see a whole buy the rumor, sell the news thing with Lordstown that kind of amps up the price a little bit up until we get to June, up until those tours and the presentation and the test drives. And when around the time that the day that they're happening or the day before they happen, whenever that last trading day is, we could see a sell-off with people cashing in, selling that news. All right, moving along. CCIV. Not a bad day today. We're back up over that 200-period exponential moving average, closing at $19.38, and they've announced that they will list on the NASDAQ as ticker symbol LCID, and that was one of the things that was talked about for being a catalyst for this thing moving up almost 6%. Honestly, bouncing off that low that we had, really establishing that nice line of support, that helps us if we get another sell-off. If that support holds, especially if it's a really big sell-off, then we know that we're in good territory, good trading territory, because we'll have nice healthy support. Being back up above the 200-period EMA is also good news for us. We want to see this continue its upward trajectory, and this big pop that we had back here in February that I was able to take advantage of, thank goodness, and I sold before the whole floor fell out. I was able to make some good money off of that, and man, it's been sort of a rough story ever since, but I think that Lucid, when they hit those productions later this year, I think that we're going to see a lot more strength come back to their stock in the meantime. Li Motors has also been marching back up from the bottom. Let's take a look at Xpeng. As usual, we'll see a very similar chart, very similar story, marching back up from the bottom, and the story just keeps on going on when it comes to the EVs right now. Even if you look at Workhorse, they're not as exaggerated, they're not as volatile. Really, we want to see news that they have some contracts coming in. They lost the one for the federal government, and you know, that's sort of what we're riding on. You can see the day that it happened, going back to February the 23rd. I'm not sure that that's the day, but if I went back to the news and looked it up, it would say Oshkosh got the contract and not Workhorse, and poof, you know, the bottom just fell right out on it, and it's had a rough time ever since. And I believe ARK Invest, I'd have to take a look at their buying history recently, but they were loading up on this after it dropped. So they're still bullish on Workhorse going forward. And at these prices, being down under $10 per share, it might start to get to be kind of a bargain. But the trouble is, it's that you don't know unless you have a little bit more confirmation over the contracts. So I have it in my portfolio right now, sort of bag holding. It's a small position. I actually sold half of my position once it doubled, and then I sold half, and then I just sort of held on to it, and then I believe I also dollar cost averaged a little bit from the remaining position that I had. So slightly bigger position, and I no longer have the same gains that I did. I'm actually cut into those a little bit by these prices dipping down the way that they have. XL Fleet, similar story, same kind of day. Solo, well, similar story to all the other EVs. This is one that I can never pronounce, Electromechanica. There we go, Vehicles Core, ticker symbol SOLO, and you can see a very similar chart to what we see with the other EVs, and honestly it's similar to what we see in a lot of the renewable space and the growth space, the big sell-off with these little ups and downs and then these lower lows going along. And this time we'll have to wait and see. We need to find some place to hold that support level. You can see that Solo has so far failed to hold support with all these different lows. Right here, maybe it held for a little bit, but then it broke it, and then it broke it again, and we'll see if now's the time that we start to turn back around again. All right, last thing, and I'll close with this one, and it's Ford Motor Company, and this is the only legacy one that I'm featuring in this video. And you can see it's still well above the 200 period exponential moving average, and we actually crossed down below the 50 period simple moving average, and that's a line that can act as resistance, and today we broke through that, but then we closed down beneath it again anyhow. Ford tomorrow is unveiling their F-150, their all-electric F-150, and so we'll see what that brings, see if it's any sort of catalyst, if it moves the stock price at all. I believe Biden was talking about it today, that he was able to sit in it and he's hoping to get to drive it around and stuff. Imagine being the president and being told, well, you can't drive it at all, just sit there. You know, you would think that they would at least let him drive it a little bit, you know, at least a little bit around the parking lot or something like that. You know, maybe we'll find out that he did. Maybe it just wasn't quite ready yet. I don't know what the story is behind it. But I don't believe that he actually drove it. With the way he talked, from what I remember, it didn't sound like he actually got to take a drive at all. If I'm wrong about that, just let me know in the comments. So let me summarize. Tesla, still totally bullish on Tesla. Yes, it's being shorted by Michael Burry. Other people are following suit because he's pretty famous for the whole Big Short thing. There was even a movie called The Big Short, which featured his character and calling the housing market bubble, you know, that before that thing popped and, you know, made The Big Short, made a ton of cash. But I don't think he was very happy to watch, you know, what it did to the economy. I don't think that we're going to have the same story with Tesla. I think this is another time that Tesla gets shorted, and even if it does happen to work in the short term, that it puts downward pressure on the price and causes it to drop for a little while, I don't think that we're going to keep this big dog down. I think it's just going to keep on pushing. NIO, the ET7, I can't wait for it to enter production. I think that 2021 is going to be a ramp-up year for NIO if it wasn't for the shortage with the semiconductors. We may have had a slightly different story. 2022, I think, is going to be a much bigger year for them going forward, and a 12-month price target from now. So by next May, we should see some of that strength coming out from NIO. Lordstown Motors, ticker symbol RIDE. We'll see what their tours bring, their test drive brings, the presentations that they have. Really, we want some delivery dates. When are those vehicles going to be in our hands? And that's something that's going to actually act as a big catalyst for their stock moving forward. Fisker, excellent news. Let's hope that they continue to get orders. Let's hope that they can stay on schedule or even beat their schedule for releasing their EVs. And I think that we're in really good shape there as well. I like Fisker as a company. Li and Xpeng, I think that they're right in there with NIO. I think that they're going to have a good part of the market share in China. Workhorse, man, they need some contracts. Get those boys some contracts so that way we can actually watch that stock price really take off. So the sooner we get some actual market penetration from Workhorse, from some actual big contracts, I think that we're in really good shape. XL and Solo, I don't know as much about them. They're just ones that go along with the EV stocks, and maybe they're ones that I should read up about. If you guys like XL Fleet and Electromechanica, let me know in the comments what it is that I should read about them, what I should pay attention to. I always appreciate the perspective, and honestly, I might forget about them if you don't tell me something interesting about them. So tell me something interesting, and you know, I'll take a look if I find it interesting, and I'll see if I like them too, and if it's one that I would like to put my money in. Full disclosure, I have positions in Li, Workhorse, Xpeng, Tesla, NIO, Lucid, Ford. I have a small position in Lordstown Motors. I'm just trying to go through the list to make sure that I've counted them all, so sorry for not looking at the camera there. And I thought that I had a position in Fisker. Like I said, the trade must have never have executed. I'm going to have to go back through and find out what took place there. I thought that I made some cash on Fisker today. Well, better luck next time, I guess. If you guys want to check out my Patreon, that link's down in the description. The trading platform that you see in my videos is WEBULL. If you would like to go down in the description, click the link for WEBULL. You can sign up, deposit $100. It will get you 2 free stocks. I get 2 free stocks through referral. The stocks that you get are valued anywhere from 0 to a total of $1,850. So I'm sorry, it's not 0. It's, I think, either $3 or a $5 minimum now. I don't know. I always look at the big numbers. $1,850. Either way, it's free money though. It's money that you didn't have before just by using $100 of your cash. So that, like I said, that link's down there. Thank you for any support that you show. If you join the Patreon, love to see you over there. If you join WEBULL, thank you for the free shares, and good luck with the random number generator, my friend. If you haven't subscribed and you'd like to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, share it with your friends. Remember, these videos are for entertainment purposes only. Always do your own research and due diligence. Contact a financial advisor before making any financial decisions. I'm Dr. Stock. Thanks for rocking with me. Now go get that money.